Welcome to the Mindfulness Meditation Podcast presented by the Rubin Museum of Himalayan Art, a global museum dedicated to bringing greater awareness and understanding of Himalayan art to people around the world. I'm your host, Tashi Chudran. Every Thursday, we offer a meditation session at New York Insight Meditation Center that draws inspiration from an artwork from the Rubin's collection and is led by a prominent meditation teacher. This podcast is a recording of our weekly in-person practice. The description of each episode includes information about the theme for that week's session and an image of the related artwork. Our Mindfulness Meditation Podcast is presented in partnership with Sharon Salzberg and teachers from the New York Insight Meditation Center, the Interdependence Project, and Parabola Magazine, and supported by the Frederick P. Lenz Foundation for American Buddhism. And now, please enjoy your practice. Good afternoon, everyone, and Tashi Delek. Welcome to the Rubin Museum of Himalayan Art's Mindfulness Meditation Program here at this beautiful space at New York Insight Meditation Center. I'm Tashi Chudran, Himalayan Programs and Communities Ambassador, and I'm delighted to be a host today. So the Rubin is a global museum dedicated to Himalayan art and its insights, and we're so glad to have all of you join us in person and online for this weekly program where we combine art and meditation. Inspired by our collection, we will first take a deep look at the work of art that is handpicked by our teacher for today, Lopon Rigzen, who will be giving us the teaching for this week. And then we will have a short set, about 15 to 20 minutes, for the meditation guided by our teacher. Let's take a look at today's theme and artwork. The theme for this month is change. And the art for today's session is this skull cup with base, a beautiful stand, origin from Tibet, dated sometime later 18th to early 20th century. And this is made out of bone, silver. You can see some semi-precious stone, turquoise, and corals. And this is a ritual object. A skull cup in Tibetan word is Töpa, so it's a skull, Töpa. And the skull cup is the symbolic ritual object representing the capacity to sustain bliss. So in Vajrayana Tibetan Buddhism, the skull cup is a ritual object used to hold offerings. If you look closely, you will also see skeleton heads and some beautiful flower motifs, as well as some animal figures. So the skull cup, along with the skeleton, something that is very common in the Vajrayana Tibetan Buddhism, in the paintings, these symbolize the impermanent nature, the true nature, that we all come to this world and we leave, that nothing is permanent, that everything changes. So when we really have the deep understanding of that, then, I think it'll be so much easier when things do change. And now let's bring on our teacher for today. Our teacher is Lopon Rigzen Lossal. Born and raised in Leh, Ladakh, Lopon La began his education at the Moravian Mission School before joining Namroling Monastery in South India in 2005. In Namroling, he went to Yeshua's Sherab Ralji Junior High School and trained in Tibetan language, rituals, and foundational Buddhist studies. He later studied Buddhist debate at Seraj Monastery University and earned his higher secondary bachelor's and master's degree in Buddhist philosophy at the Ngajur Nyingma Institute from 2011 to 2021. Lopon La is a translator with Padma Mani Translation Committee. He has contributed to major works and served as an editor for Tibetan and English publications with the Ngajur Rigzen Editorial Committee. And in 2022, he has offered Dharma teachings online to many Western students all over the world. He serves as an interpreter and translator at the annual Palyul Retreat upstate New York, where I've had the great honor of receiving teachings from Lopon La as well, and many other students that come from all over the world. And Lopanla also led mindfulness meditation teachings to the summer children at Upstate Retreat, and he has completed multiple retreats under eminent teachers and continues to make Buddhist teachings accessible through translation, teaching, and contemplative guidance. Lopanla, thank you so much for being here, and please help me in welcoming Lopan Rinzel.
First of all, I would like to thank New York Inside Meditation Center and Rubin Museum for having me here today. So, as today's theme or the theme for this month as being the change, first I would like to discuss a bit, reflect a bit on change, and then we'll try to understand what meditation is, and then we'll dive into meditation. So first, when we talk about change, according to the Tibetan Buddhism, if we are able to embrace change, then it is said that we will be able to live a life more freely, more openly, and we will be able to love more intensely and more wholeheartedly. And then, not only that, we will be able to let go of things more easily. Because what happens is that if we are not able to uh, let go of things easily and are able to are not fail to live in the reality, that what happens is that we face many challenges. As from my own experiential uh, it has happened that I've seen in my life that there are people who are not able to bear the loss of their loved ones. And once occasion, there was a person at my village, and his loved wife, she died very young. And then in that grief of losing his loved ones, he was not able to accept that loss. And that living in that grief, in that suffering, he was consumed by that grief. And then later on, he also his body became weak, and thus due to illness, he also passes away, not taking a very long time. So such things can be, these similar incidents can be applied to other things. So how uh, difficult, how problematic it would be if we fail to embrace change. And then, according to Buddhism, it is said that everything that are conditioned are subject to change, are the nature of impermanence. So let's take an example of the world that we are living in. It may seem stable, it may seem everlasting, but they are not. Even our homes that we live in, the cities, the buildings, one day our buildings are going to become rubbles. Our cars going to end up in the yards. So this is when we understand the true reality of impermanence, the change, and try to contemplate on this sense, then we become more open. As mentioned earlier, we will be able to live more freely. We will be able to live a more meaningful life, especially talking from the perspective of a practitioner. And I would like to ask, how many of you believe in afterlives? And yeah, and those who believes in afterlives, they the notion of this impermanence has a deeper meaning. It makes more sense. And even if one doesn't believes in afterlife, for them also, when one is able to embrace the true reality of impermanence and change, life becomes so much easy. One is able to cherish every moment and appreciate everything that one has and one is blessed with. And to talk about the meditation, when we talk about meditation in Tibetan language, we call it gom. The literal meaning of gom and gompa is to habituate. Habituate our mind to settle down. Habituate our mind to not get distracted. And sometimes habituate our mind with the true reality. Habituate our mind in the thoughts, in the process of thoughts that inspires or encourages you to love more, have more compassion. So if you categorize kind of the meditation, then you can categorize it into two mainly: the contemplative meditation and the resting meditation. What happens with the contemplation meditation is that in that meditation, you are going through a process of thinking. And that in that process of thinking, you are not letting your mind getting distracted to other subjects. So you are in a way habituating yourself with that thought that enables you to grow, enables you to become more open hearted, especially with the settling meditation or the resting meditation. We mainly focus on train our mind to not get distracted, which we renownedly called as the shamatha meditation. There, the more renowned method is to concentrate your mind on your breath and not letting your mind and having a watch on your mind, seeing that whether your mind is getting distracted from that process of breathing or not. So this is a very widely known. So today, what we are going to uh, meditate is related to uh, change and impermanence. And this has a very crucial role in Tibetan Buddhism. This is what the notion of impermanence or change is what inspires thousands of people to take on the path of liberation. Remind them on the impermanent nature of everything. The outer world, the precious body that we hold, that we have right now. And not only the precious body, but also the thoughts that we have. Our thoughts and our priorities also gets changes with time. Take an example. When we were used to be kids, the most important, the precious thing used to be the toys. But we just we have forgotten that. We don't hold that dear anymore, isn't it? But when we become teenagers, our priorities, our importance become something different. And then when we grow, then that also gets changed. So there is nothing that we can hold on to. So, first of all, when we are doing the meditation, first we will think of the impermanence from the perspective of the outer world. And then, secondly, we will think about the impermanence of our precious body, which we cherish the most. And then, thirdly, we will think about the thoughts, our ideas, our priorities, the impermanence of it. And as most importantly, the skull cup that was demonstrated here, that has been a very primary source of reminding practitioners the impermanent nature. Especially we as human beings, there are so many important things to us. There are so many things that are so much precious for us. And among those, the most precious is our life. So whenever as the skull cup is made out of skull, our body, the human skull. So whenever one sees that, that reminds us of our own impermanence in this world. I would like to share a short story regarding that. You might be all might have heard about the very renowned yogi called Tiloba, a master, an Indian master. He was a renunciant. And then, as he had only in possession, he has only a skull cup, which he used to eat and drink and for all this. And as he was a very realized practitioner, once a king who encountered Tilopa, with the radiance of Tilopa, he generated so much faith and devotion towards him. So thus the king offered Tilopa a bowl made out of gold. Then it is said that the Tilopa accepted that bowl, and then at the second moment, he threw it away into the river. And the king got astounded. How would you do that? So then the Tilopa responded, the skull cup that I have, whenever I have something in this cup, or whenever I seize this, that reminds me of the impermanence of my own life. If I hold on to the golden bowl that you have offered, then I would generate more attachment towards that gold. And thus it will become an hindrance on my path to awakening. So, this is how the skull cup is seen from the perspective of the Tibetan Buddhism. So, let's dive into the meditation. So, first, when we are doing the meditation, it is very important to rest your body in a certain way that helps you not get so dizzy and not get so distracted as well. So there are many teachings related to it, but the main point is keep your body straight and try to, as if you are later on, if you are uh, sitting in meditation for a longer period of time, it is very important to touch your tongue to the upper palate. That will help you to keep your throat most moist and not fill your mouth with saliva, which can become a hindrance on your concentration. Rest straight, then think of the impermanent or nature of the outer world, how it has arisen and how it is going to gradually change and ultimately going to cease. Our houses, our cars, all the properties, all the things that you own isn't going to last forever. Now, think of the impermanent nature of our own cherished body. Think of the body that we had when we were kids. Now it is not more that small baby. Think of the body that we used to had when we were teenagers. Think of the body that we had or we have when we are in our youth. Think of the body eventually it will grow old and ultimately we have to let it go and move on with a new life. Now, think of the impermanent nature of our thoughts. The things that we used to think is very important for us now isn't important for us anymore. The priorities that we used to give have also evolved with time. Once you used to think, when we used to think that having a car is very important or having something is the most important goal of my life. That doesn't make much sense at all. Try to look at all the thoughts that has changed or evolved within your mind stream since from the childhood up until now. So now we have to end our meditation here.
Thank you so much for that most profound teaching on change. That concludes this week's practice. To support the Rubin and this meditation series, we invite you to become a friend of the Rubin at rubinmuseum.org/friends. If you are looking for more inspiring content, please check out our other podcast, Awaken, which uses art to explore the dynamic paths to enlightenment and what it means to wake up. Available wherever you listen to podcasts. And to learn more about the Rubin Museum's work around the world, visit rubinmuseum.org. Thank you for listening. Have a mindful day.